What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV and it's finally here, the Huawei Mate 30 Pro. Now this has actually been very difficult to get a hold of. It's currently only available in China, and that's because of the whole political situation between the US and China and the fact that Google Play services are currently not going to be available on this. So for now anyway, it's only going to be available in China. Hopefully soon we're going to see it in other markets. But I know a lot of you guys want to see what this is all about, so let's go ahead, get it unboxed and see what it has to offer. The packaging is very traditional Huawei. We've got the Huawei Mate 30 Pro logo here. And then at the bottom here, it says Super Sensing Cine camera, and of course, powered by Leica. Now, this is the interesting part. We've got some very interesting cameras on here, which of course we'll be checking out in more detail. Right. Presented initially with the phone itself, which we'll put to the side to see what else we get inside the box. And very simple, we've got a SIM card tool, we've got a USB Type-A to USB Type-C cable, we've got some USB Type-C earphones, and then we've got the Huawei 40-watt supercharger. This is going to be able to top up the Mate 30 Pro very, very quickly. Of course, there will also be some paperwork in the official retail version, which is something that I don't have here, and it would have probably been in Chinese anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And now let's get to the device. You can already see this very interesting gradient design, something that Huawei is really known for, through this plastic. But let's take it out the plastic and let's take a closer look. And that looks very, very cool indeed. I've got a not for sale sticker on. What, I can't sell this? You know how much money I'd make on eBay, considering that this is only available in China? I'm joking, I'm joking. I'm not gonna sell it. Not for sale sticker is now off. Does that mean I can sell it? I'm joking. I'm sorry. Anyway, so in Huawei's traditional style, we've got this sort of gradient finish on here. This is called the Space Silver. Sorry, I forgot the name. It's called the Space Silver. There's also a few other color options available, as well as some vegan leather options, which I'm definitely all for. I know there was a few people making fun of the fact that they're vegan leather, but think about it. It's better for the environment. It's not affecting animals and things like that. I would definitely rock a vegan leather smartphone if I had one. Of course, this is a glass version, which also does look really, really nice. This is IP68 water and dust resistant, and we've got a metal frame. And then there's this circular camera module, which seems to be the new trend of 2019. You must have seen the OnePlus 7T that we unboxed yesterday also has this circular camera module. We've seen it on some Motorola phones as well. I personally don't mind it too much. It's quite symmetrical, which I do like. And there is still a bit of a camera bump, which will be covered up if you do use a case. We'll come back to the camera for a second. Let's have a look at the front now. And at the front, we've got what is quite an interesting display. It's what Huawei are calling a horizon display. And that's because we've got 88-degree angle curves on both the left and right-hand side. We had seen curves on the Mate 20 Pro, and it's something that we've been seeing on other smartphones as well. But this is quite a deep curve. I think the other curve that's similar to this is probably on the new Vivo phone that we checked out last week. That's what they are calling a waterfall display, because everything kind of just falls over. Looks very cool, I'm not gonna lie, and it also feels quite nice as well. So when I'm holding this, because the screen just kind of curves right into the edges, it does feel quite nice. How durable is it gonna be? How is this gonna work in terms of palm rejection? And will you be able to get a reasonable screen protector for this? These are all questions that we're gonna have to answer after I've used this for some time. Right, in terms of the size of the screen, it's 6.53 inches. It is an OLED display. It does look really nice. The resolution isn't as high as we've seen on other devices. It's around 2400 by 1176 pixels, so it's slightly higher than Full HD, but it's not going towards that Quad HD plus resolution that we had on something like the Mate 20 Pro. The details still look pretty sharp. I'll have to spend some more time with it. But first impressions, this is a very, very good display. Now, because of the horizon display, those curves, we pretty much see no bezel on the left and the right, but we do have this small chin, as well as this top bezel with a notch. Now, this notch isn't as big as the Mate 20 Pro notch, which was quite wide. And that is something that I had a little bit of a problem with because there wasn't much space for app notification icons. It would only have space for a very few. But this is smaller compared to that. And we do have the notch for some specific reasons. We've got 3 separate sensors on here. So of course we've got the front-facing camera. This is 32 megapixels with an f2.0 aperture. But then we've got a 3D depth sensor. So this is going to be used for depth information to get portrait selfies. But as well as that, it's going to be used for 3D facial unlock. So the Mate 30 Pro is not just going to be using the front-facing camera to unlock. It is a lot more secure than that because it is using 3D facial unlock. It's going to project like thousands of dots onto your face to be able to securely unlock your device. It does work very, very fast. Just check that out. But then we have a third sensor, which I'm not sure is that useful, and that is a gesture sensor. I can't even say it. Gesture sensor. Now, currently from what I can see, you can use the air gestures on here to either scroll or to grab a screenshot like that. I don't know. I don't mean to be sounding negative, but I honestly think I am never going to use this, and I'm just probably going to end up switching it off. So 2 sensors do seem quite useful. The third one, I'm not too sure about. Now, what's interesting is, as well as the 3D facial unlock, you also have an in-display fingerprint scanner. So this sits here, and once again, it does work really, really fast. And I do like the fact that we've got 2 secure options. Right, now let's move over towards the back and talk about the cameras. So we've got a quad camera setup this time. The primary camera is 40 megapixels, and it's the same hardware as what we've got on the P30 Pro. So it's got an f1.6 aperture. So instead of using the traditional red, green, and blue, which we see on most devices, this is actually using RYYB, red, yellow, and blue. So this is supposed to let in a lot more light and help with low light images. The P30 Pro was great for low light images. And also the Mate 30 Pro does have a large sensor size. It's larger compared to the competition. So once again, that larger sensor size should help with low light images. But then we've got what Huawei are calling a Cine camera. This is the ultra wide camera. It's 40 megapixels this time. So that's the highest resolution for an ultra wide that I've seen. And also the sensor size is larger than the competition. It has an f1.8 aperture, and get this, it can film slow motion at up to 7,680 frames a second. That is absolutely insane. The fact that you can do this on a phone, of course it's gonna be a very short burst, but that is insane. That's just like, I can't believe that a smartphone can film slow motion at that level. I'll of course be testing it out and letting you know how I get on. But nevertheless, having that level of slow motion on a smartphone is very, very impressive. Now, Huawei have been emphasizing that this camera is going to be great for video. Of course, we're going to be doing some tests on this, and let me know in the comments below which SuperSaf style camera comparison you'd like me to do against this first. Of course, it doesn't stop there. The third camera is a telephoto camera. It's 8 megapixels with an f2.4 aperture. This has optical image stabilization as well, and it's going to give you up to 3 times optical zoom and up to 5 times hybrid zoom. So we've not got no crazy zoom like we've got on the P30 Pro. That seems something quite exclusive to the P series and not the Mate series here. And finally, we have a true depth sensor, which should help with depth information to get your portraits. I, of course, will have to test this out a lot more and really put it up against the competition. So I'll definitely let you know how I get along with these cameras. And I'll be posting lots of samples on my Twitter and on my Instagram. I'm at SuperSaf on both. So definitely follow me on there to see all of the latest updates. Now let's take a look around the device. So we actually have nothing on the left-hand side. And all we have on the right-hand side is a power button. So you might be wondering, where are the volume buttons? Well, we don't actually have any physical buttons for the volume. We just have to tap twice on the edge, and then we can change the volume. And you can do this on the left-hand side as well as the right-hand side. I mean, it's something that I'm gonna have to get used to. It seems to work okay, but there have been certain times when I've tried and it's not worked. I guess it's just something I'm gonna have to spend some more time with. And then if we look on the top, you'll notice that we have something that we don't see on pretty much any other device right now. That is an IR blaster, which I'm sure is going to be useful to a lot of people. We've got a single bottom firing speaker, so we don't have stereo sound on here. There is a USB Type-C input, no 3.5mm jack, and then we've got the SIM card tray. Now this SIM card tray also has space for a nano card. This is going to allow you to expand the storage on here by another 256 gigabytes. This is a proprietary card that Huawei sells, so it's not a usual micro SD card. But you do get 256 gigabytes of base storage on here with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, this is powered by the Kirin 990 chipset, so that's the latest from Huawei. And in terms of speed and performance, there's been lots of improvements made to the CPU as well as GPU, and there have also been improvements made in terms of the overall efficiency, so this should last a good while. You do have a 4500 milliamp hour battery on here, so that is pretty large, and in my experience, Huawei devices do last pretty long. And of course, along with that, you do have the 40-watt supercharger, but this also supports up to 27-watt wireless charging. That is pretty insane. There's lots of devices that don't support that wired, so 27 watts wireless is very, very impressive. I believe that's the fastest in the market. That wireless charger you are going to have to buy separately. I'll be testing that out too. And we've also got an improvement in terms of reverse wireless charging. So this is something that Huawei introduced last year with the Mate 20 Pro. And this is where you can use your device to charge another device or some headphones or something wirelessly. In my experience, it was very, very slow, but Huawei have said that it is up to 3 times faster compared to last year, which is definitely a big improvement. And finally, let's talk about the software. So this does come pre-installed with Android 10 with EMUI 10 on top. Now, this is just a base version of Android 10. We don't get the Google Play services that we are used to seeing. Hopefully, there's going to be a resolution to that soon, and we will be seeing Google Play services come to the Mate 30 Pro. And then the Mate 30 Pro will also be available in the European market. And if it is something that you want to buy, then I'm pretty certain that you will be able to get hold of it within the next few months once this whole political situation is resolved. If and when it does eventually come out, it's going to be retailing for 1,099 euros. This is for the 4G version. The 5G version is going to be available soon in China and whenever it does come here in Europe again. And that is going to retail for 100 euros more. And that is the Huawei Mate 30 Pro. In terms of my first impressions, I mean, it looks like a very, very promising device. I love the competition that Huawei brings to the table. So even if you aren't a fan of Huawei devices, you have to respect the technology and innovations that they do come out with, which really pushes all of the industry. So I'm really hoping that Huawei do manage to sort out this situation with the US and we will have Google Play services as we used to, and everything will be back to normal. Up until then, of course, if you do want to import this from China, you can go ahead and do so. It will be a little bit more expensive potentially, and you're going to have to sideload all of those Google apps if that's what you want to do. What do you guys think of the Huawei Mate 30 Pro? Is it a device that you would go out and buy when it is available? Definitely drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts, and also let me know what further coverage you'd like me to do with this going forward. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.